Have you ever felt like life placed you somewhere for a reason you couldn't yet see? Esther did. She wasn't born a queen. She didn't carry a royal name or noble blood, no crown, no palace. Just a Jewish orphan girl, exiled in a foreign land, living under the rule of a powerful empire. But God had a plan. In the grand halls of Persia, amidst banquets and politics, betrayal and power plays, a story was unfolding, one that would echo across generations. The book of Esther opens during the reign of King Xerxes, ruler over 127 provinces from India to Kush. Esther 1:1. To display his greatness, the king held a grand feast, 180 days of lavish celebration, followed by a 7-day banquet open to all the people of Susa. On the 7th day, intoxicated by wine, Xerxes commanded Queen Vashti to appear before his guests to show off her beauty, Esther 1:11. But she refused. This act of defiance enraged the king. Following his advisors, Vashti was deposed, her crown removed, her place empty. But while men plotted and kings drank from golden cups, God's hand was quietly moving behind palace walls. A decree was sent out. Let the most beautiful virgins in the empire be brought to the palace. From this, the king would choose his new queen. Among them was Hadassah, known by her Persian name, Esther, Esther 2:7, an orphan, raised by her cousin Mordecai, a man of wisdom who feared God. Esther entered the king's harem, humble and graceful, not seeking favor, but showing kindness, and the keeper of the women, Hegai, was pleased with her. Esther 2:15 says, Esther won the favor of everyone who saw her. When it was her turn to meet the king, Xerxes was captivated. He placed the royal crown on her head and made her queen in place of Vashti. But her Jewish identity remained a secret, just as Mordecai advised. Not long after, Mordecai uncovered a plot. 2 of the king's guards were planning an assassination. He told Esther, who warned the king, and the plot was stopped. It was recorded in the royal chronicles, but no reward was given. Then came Haman. The king elevated Haman the Agagite above all other officials. All were commanded to bow before him, but Mordecai refused. When Haman discovered Mordecai was a Jew, his hatred deepened. And so Haman devised a plot not just to punish one man, but to annihilate all the Jews in the empire. In the royal palace of Persia, an advisor named Haman used lies to poison the king's mind. He said, "There is a group of people who don't follow your rules. It would be better if they were destroyed." The king believed him. He signed an order giving permission for every man, woman, and child from this group, the Jewish people, to be killed on a specific day. So it was signed that on the 13th day of the 12th month, every Jew, man, woman, and child, was to be killed. What? When the news spread, grief filled the land. Mordecai, a Jewish man who had raised his cousin Esther, tore his clothes, put on rough sackcloth, and cried in the streets. Esther was now queen, but she had kept her identity as a Jew a secret. When she heard about Mordecai's mourning, Esther was terrified. In those days, no one could approach the king without being invited. Doing so could mean death. But courage rose in her heart. She sent this reply.
Gather all the Jews and fast for me for 3 days. Then I will go to the king, and if I die, I die.
Esther 4:16. On the 3rd day, Esther put on her royal robes and walked into the king's hall. Silence. Would he welcome her or order her death? The king extended his golden scepter. She was safe. "What is your request, Queen Esther?" he asked. "Even if it's half my kingdom, it will be yours." Esther didn't accuse Haman immediately. Instead, she invited the king and Haman to a banquet, and then another. That night, the king couldn't sleep. He ordered the royal records to be read and discovered that Mordecai had once saved his life, yet had never been rewarded. The next morning, Haman entered, planning to ask for Mordecai's execution. But before he could speak, the king asked him, "What should be done for a man the king wants to honor?" Thinking the honor was for himself, Haman described a lavish parade. The king said, "Great idea. Go do all of that." For Mordecai, Haman had to parade his enemy through the city in shame. At Esther's second banquet, the king again asked what she wanted. With courage and trembling, she spoke.
My people have been sold to be destroyed. The enemy is this wicked Haman.
The king's face burned with anger. Haman was executed on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. Haman's estate was given to Esther. Mordecai was promoted to a position of great power. But the first law, the death order, could not be erased. So Esther pleaded again before the king, "How can I watch my people be destroyed?" The king allowed a new law, Esther 8:11. The Jews may unite and defend themselves against anyone who attacks them. When the appointed day came, the Jews fought back, protected themselves, and were victorious. From that day, the Jewish people began a yearly celebration called Purim, a time of joy, gift-giving, and remembering how they were saved. God's name is never directly mentioned in Esther's story, but his hand is visible in every twist and turn, in the silence, the timing, the courage, and the rescue. Romans 8:28 says, "We know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him." You might feel unseen, ordinary, unqualified, but perhaps you are exactly where you are for such a time as this. Stay with us at Wisdom and Grace for more inspiring stories from Scripture. Subscribe, share, and remember, the God who wrote Esther's story is writing yours too.
If I must speak, let my voice be true. Though the cost is my life, still I choose the fire. For my people, I will walk through. For such a time as this, I was chosen. For such a time as this, I will rise. Though the night may be deep, you are with me, and the crown is yours, not mine. The decree has been sealed, but your word will not fail. You turn darkness to light, you bring light from the grave. What was meant to destroy, you will turn into joy. Every promise, every step you say. If I must fight, let my strength be holy. If I must wait, let my heart be still. Though the world may condemn, I will trust your hand. For my people, I will do your will. For such a time as this, I was chosen. For such a time as this, I will rise. Though the night may be deep, you are with me, and the crown is yours, not mine. You lift the humble, you scatter the proud, you tear down the walls, you silence the crowd. What the enemy built for evil and pain, you have broken the chains, you have broken the chains. For such a time as this, I was chosen. For such a time as this, I will run. For such a time, for for such a time, for such a time as this.